So, Ashish, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for allocating your time and speaking with us.
Your website, I visited it, that is full of a bit technical articles, and I appreciate that you are taking the initiative to discuss with the startups and publishing their stories. That is really helpful for them. I really appreciate. Thanks for inviting me for the interview.
Thank you, Ashish. So, let's start with the question. So, the first thing I want to ask you is you are actually from IT background, right? Then, what inspired you to start with Forming for All? Like, how did this transaction take place?
Right, I've been working in IT industry past 14 years, and I was doing into designing and developing enterprise solution as well as industrial automation as well. And I was thinking out of like starting my own venture. So, but that venture, I wanted to make some products with the industrial automation. So I thought, let's look around. What is the problem I can solve with my own creative ideas and technical technology experience with me. Then I looked around at I am living in a high-rise society, and I used to face also that we have a plants, but right, why not utilize these balconies as a resource which is nobody is using it, the vertical rise. And because now another I have gone and searched about the agriculture part, right? So now, as you know that cities are increasing and the agricultural lands are reducing it, and the rate of agricultural land reducing is very good, pretty much good. And another thing is that population is increasing. So how do we cater on that? So that's the reason I wanted to utilize the resources as a vertical gardening. So I thought let me build up automation system that will help us out the irrigation as well. That how to automate the system so I can grow up like a kitchen garden can be automated. And if I am able to grow the organic food with the automation system as well, that is if I'm going out from my home and I should be knowing that yes, the water is still there, I am able to see the status reports of that, I will be happy because it is very whenever people are going out of home and or traveling, so that is they are worried about the plants and they are taking care, they giving the plants to handling to somebody else, right? So that makes me a little bit focused that let's start so on that. So then I started working because I am totally from the background IT and agriculture is a completely new thing. Then I started studying about it, studying about research, doing research on the what are the issues in agriculture. And then yes, I found that this is a smart the work I am doing doing the software as well as automation that can really helpful if I integrate the same thing with the industrial automation as far as in agriculture. So that comes an idea that let's why not make it the agriculture as a new thing where industrial that automation is having a very less in the industry with the IoT systems are very less because they are having own logistics issues as well. So being expertise in that, so I thought let's start with the agriculture. Then it's started from there.
Okay, so my first question for you would be about your products. So, Ashish, currently Farming for All has two products. One is a GSM and LoRa based smart controller, and the other is a smart data collector. So, how do these two devices work? And say, for example, if there is a farmland, how would you go about with deploying these sensors in the field?
It's a very good question, Ashwin. So I would like to tell that yes, as of now we are having two devices. One is a smart controller, and the second one is a smart data collector. Smart. Before I go and tell about the features of the device, I would like to tell you how these devices come in existence. So as you know that I am from the IT background and have not enough knowledge in agriculture domain. So what I have done research as well as we have done a survey. We have done, me and my team has done a survey to collect the problem areas from the 6 states, from the farmers and their farmer groups. And these states are Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Delhi, Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh, Maharashtra. So and we are connected with 500 plus farmers with them, and around 3 to 4 months we have tried to connect with them and got captured the data. So these devices comes in existence based on a problem they are facing, real problems we are solving it. So let me start with this first device. This is a smart. Yeah, let me show you. Right. So this is a smart controller, As you can see, a small device, there are, this is the on, this light will indicate the on indication, then it's the, when the irrigation starts, it will, this device will control the water motor on demand with the mobile application. So you can see, this is, we have designed it in a very portable format, that you have a plug over here. So that means this is like a stabilizer. You can connect any device up to a 1 horsepower. That will make a dumb device to a smart device. It can be a water motor or any other device. So that's a multi-purpose controller. You can put any device up to having a power compression of 1 horsepower, and it will make a smart device. And you will be able to onboard this controller into your by using a mobile application, and you can start on and off. As well as we have a scheduling option, that you can create the schedule for the controller, so it will automatically on based on a schedule. And we are using a two communication medium. One is a Wi-Fi, a second is a GSM connectivity. So Wi-Fi is the where the residential societies, greenhouse, the city area, there the Wi-Fi is available. They can configure their Wi-Fi and they can use it. And then, however, if I talk about the rural areas where 2G SIM networks are also there, so we are utilizing the 2G SIM as well. So 2G SIM will work in every place, like in the village area and the cities both. So because 2G networks are the lowest network which can achieve. So this is the thing. A third technology, we are using a radio frequency, high range, long range radio frequency network we are using, and that is used by communicating the LoRa and the data collector. They both are used to connect with each other by the high long range radio frequency. What is the benefit? So to interact with the cloud application, that just data controller requires an internet connection. So that you can give with a Wi-Fi or GSM, so that it can send the data. The working is that controller will communicate to the data collector, and it can connect with up to 100 data collector with one. We can handle it one controller, and this controller is acting as a gateway of the gateway as well, which is responsible for integration with integration with the data collector, as well it will sending the application, the data to the application, that's the backend cloud application. This is the one feature. You can put this device into the network area or where you have Wi-Fi or GSM, and then these two devices, the data collector can be placed into the it will be inserted into a field farming field like this. This has to be inserted in this way. So if you are putting this device into the mountain hilly area, even where there is no network, then also it will be able to work, because they are not using any other network. They are using a radio frequency. A radio frequency network is being created by the controller, that is unique radio frequency network for each device. Now I would like to tell you about something more in a data collector. This is a smart data collector. It is a battery operated. However, the controller was coming out with the electricity. You can connect with the electricity, or you can also connect with a solar power. This, if I can there is a button over here. You can start the button, and yes, you can see it is operated with the battery. We are using a long power battery over inside. This data collector is equipped with a smart sensors. There are 5 sensors as of now we are using, and we are launching as part of initial release at that party. So this first sensor, you can see, I will show you like this. This is a pH sensor. It is a multi-depth, that is clearly indication of 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, and 6 inches. It is a complete waterproof, and you can insert is like this. And the second sensor which we are having as of now, we are using this sensor as the soil moisture sensor. Third sensor, we are having it here. This is a temperature sensor and a humidity sensor. And the fifth sensor is a light sensor that is on the top. You can put it inside. So as of now, 5 sensors we are having it out. And these 5 sensors will be sending a data of the farming land every 10 seconds, or sorry, every 10 minutes, or whatever you are going to configure. That is a completely configure. You wanted to get a data 10 seconds, that you can tend it. If you wanted to get it data for a 1 hour, that will be depends on agriculture, the land, what we are using it, and that we can configure it with a mobile application. And it is using a long range radio frequency to communicate with the server. So this will send the data to the controller will receive it, process it, and it will send to the background application. And that data you can see on our mobile application.
Ashish, that's very interesting, but I want to know how many such smart data collectors should be deployed in a field. Say, for example, will you be deploying it for every 100 meters, or what is the scenario?
Right. So to utilize these systems, right, we have some preconditions as well, because whenever we have to design, we have to define the boundary of the system as well. The precondition I would like to tell you, the precondition of the system is that we need drip irrigation is a mandatory stuff for that. So drip irrigation is required in a farming field. So it is suitable for a greenhouse, open area farming field, as well as vertical gardening, kitchen gardens. So this reason of for ensuring a drip irrigation, because we are using a sensor and these devices are costly devices. Drip irrigation will help us to distribute the water to each and every corner of the field equally. That means if I get the data from here at one place, the same amount of water, we are ensuring it, the new humidity and all in other places as well, because you can put this data at one place. So up to 1 acre, we are suggesting around one controller and 4 sensors, 4 data collector. That we are suggesting it. So these are some of the preconditions has to follow. So by using drip irrigation, we are ensuring that water is distributed everywhere. pH is not something which can be easily change it, right? It will change, it will take time. Temperature and humidity, we can capture it anywhere from there, and ambience and the sunlight that is required. So for the soil moisture, to that we have ensured that every area of land has to be get a equal amount of water, or for that drip irrigation is mandatory.
So I have seen many of these smart farming solutions, and currently many people are there's a recent hype for it for these smart IoT based farming solutions. But how practical are these? Like, can you give any case studies where IoT based smart sensors have actually helped people to increase productivity? And what kind of impact can this bring? Let's say if your controller and smart sensors deployed, what is the practical impact that people will be able to witness?
Very valid question, Ashwant. I really appreciate that this question, because this is a really impact, because whatever we have designed it has to be validated. The same question I have also asked, and it is an industry practice as well. Whenever we are going out to the live to the production, we should have the certification, we should have validated properly, then we should go and live it. In that process, coming to that also, that I have done recently, I have done a tie-up with a school, School of Agriculture Sciences, Sharda University, and my mentor is Dr. H.S. Gaur, who is mentoring this pilot run. We have set up a pilot run in a greenhouse, and that is situated in a Greater Noida at Sharda University. That is, and currently we are on a 3 weeks of pilot run. So these devices have been deployed under a greenhouse. We have using a cherry tomatoes, and then we have divided into 2 parts. The greenhouse. One is a irrigated with the smart devices of the farming for all. Second part is that is manually traditional based irrigation, and for complete process is being handled by these things. So this is how will give me the advantage when, and we are expecting to publish a first phase of report of the pilot in the December end or January first week. So at least 1 week, 1 month data, we will be going to capturing it into that 2 weeks of time we have taken it to setting up the greenhouse. Then 4 weeks of the time is required to test the data digitally. That means this is again we are going to digitalization of the farming land. If I talk about the farmer, if when they have done a soil moisture test, yes, most of the farmers say we don't do test, because why you are not doing testing? We have a kit, but the person who is doing a test is not coming to our. It is not easy for them to come. Did you talk with the other? Somebody has said we have done the recently testing, but do you have the reports? That is lost it. So nobody is able to capture these scientific facts. Now we are able to capture it. So this will give me a historical data and a series. Even I can, based on my machine learning algorithm, I can tell that this is the time duration where the greenhouse environment is getting up and down accordingly. This is the historical data that soil moisture is getting impacted. This is how if the pH has been changed, what have you put in that? That data is with us, and we will be able to analyze it that with the scientific facts. That is very important when we are doing it. So if I come to a value question, right? Why? So we are also having same question. So I've developed it and tested in my own. What should I? So that's the reason I've done the tie-up. And then the School of Agricultural Sciences of Sharda University is validating each and everything as per that. So we are also the soil moisture, which your sensors are getting the data to me. In the same way, we are also using a traditional method, like how to do a testing of soil moisture, temperature, the different ways, and we are capturing the both the results. And this will give me a clear idea if my devices are giving a correct data, accurate data, or if there is a lag, all the things by the end of the year, we will be knowing it in the end of December. So this is how we are doing it.
Okay. So Ashish, what has been your major findings so far? So you have told that you have done a survey to see if this product has demand, and you have also told that you have done certain level of validation for your product so far. So what has been the major findings? Like what results kind of surprised you and gave you promises that this has a huge demand in the market?
Surprises was when we talk about the problem area. There are many problems. So the first thing that we can only fertilizers are coming very costly, and people are using it. So they don't, and they are using a guesstimates. Nowadays, you can see the water is very precious. We are farmers are traditionally using the farmer. They used to fill out the water and then go at. That's right. It is perfectly working fine. I'm not here to tell the farmers how to do a farming. No, they know better than me. I am here to tell them by the scientific facts and the data. By utilizing this system, you will increase your productivity. You can you can cut down your resources. That will help you to cut down your expenditures. If you are spending, saving is also as an income, right? So that is we as per our analysis, we are able to know that by utilizing the water, saving the water, electricity, utilizing the solar energies, and reducing the fertilizers down, we can help the productivity can be increased by the 20 or 30%. And the first another thing that farmers are saying, that we are not able to sell our product to the good corporate. So we are in touch with the corporates and also they are getting onboarded with us. And then they will be able to sell it. So we are also going to provide a market platform. That is the upcoming release. That is the, as I told you, right? We have got a enough problems with that, including cold storage and also that is mentioned in our long-term plan, and we will be able to distribute it, publish it, we'll be able to launch it in a phase-wise manner. But first phase, I wanted to face it that digitization of the farming land and getting the real facts so that they can have they can have the real dashboards in a mobile application. So you can see that what is the soil moisture over last time, that temperature, this and what is the network resistance area, that is giving you, and it also gives you a trend analysis by using graphs. What is the temperature, what is the soil moisture temperature that is from the 1 month historical month, or you can see the historical data of 1 year if you are going to record it. So we will having a historical data of the farming that is really useful for the research and analysis purpose as well. And we will be introducing a more sensors like carbon dioxide, NPK sensor, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. These are because this platform is a multi-purpose platform as well. Since and we are because we I am from the industry automation as well, so we use the developed a platform that can be used in a ambience walls in vertical farming and in-house farming as well, and the industrial automation. So the platform is already established. So now the next phase we'll be introducing a more sensors. My research team is already working on what are the next sensors we are going to onboard it. And we're also trying to make up to onboard a new sensor, the latest sensor that are long durable sensors that can be used for the industrial purpose.
So, Ashish, what are the key challenges that you faced when you started with this? So, when developing an IoT solution for a farming sector, you should have faced some difficulties, be it technically or be it testing it in the actual field. So, what kind of difficulties did you face in the initial stages?
Right. And we so initially we wanted to know because this is a research and R&D project. So we invested a time on a research. Once we got, and then we got to know the smart farming, precision farming. I also personally learned all these things, how to do that, and then try to understand because something is a new domain area for me, apart from IT. And yes, so if I talk about the finding our right resources, onboarding into our system, that is a skill set is required because it is not it's a research based work, so finding a research people also it's tough. Then we have onboarded and find it, and then when that we wanted to start a POC, right, then lockdown came, and that makes a good challenge that we were not able to get the sensors because, and I live in a greater Noida and Delhi is the impacted area, so we the traveling is gone, so we faced initial after from the March to June, that's a very tough time. So that then I've decided, and if we are not going to move it, then why to struggle it, right? Then I pulled up my whole team and sit together, and we were working dedicatedly, and thanks to lockdown that we all are focused and developed a backend application that is completely our IT based solutions. So we worked on focused on that backend application, and that is delivered. Then it started POC, then get the sensors and getting on. And the challenge which sometime when we were about to launch the product, two members have got COVID affected, and we were the key members because we were working all our senior persons at that, sir. So our we were get delayed also with the COVID. But yes, no more delayed. But my team is still focused, and we as of now currently we are having a 15 members in my team member, and now we are able to do that. So the challenges was integration was it is the this solution is a very thing because if I talk about we have a backend application that is a completely a cloud-based application, and we can able to handle any number of users in our in system because with that we have used the microservices on all best practice for developing a software application, and we can handle any number of, since we are a cloud-based application, we can handle any number of users. One part. Another thing is that IoT different sensor has to interact with it. There's a second part that data has to be given it to back. And the third part, the challenging part, manufacturing and fabrication of the devices. This was again getting impacted. And the device which you are having, it's a completely a prototype device. That's 3D printed model. And the device which we are using it in industry, that is a different commercial device will be available, and that is will be a IP65 certified side. That means that's a will be a waterproof and dust proof, and we have a different device for the steel. So this is as of now we are using it into prototype, but yes, that is in progress. So by next week, devices will be coming it. So
Okay, so what are the
fabrication of devices and data, these are the challenges what we face due to lockdown.
Okay, so are you already stepping into the manufacturing field? Like, what kind of difficulties when you faced from transitioning from a prototype to manufacturing segment, like procuring components, setting
Great.
up supply chain?
It's great issues because till now I have changed my 3 vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And really, yes, the next step I don't because that hiccups are coming and I wanted to remove the hiccups. And yes, we are going to entering into a manufacturing. We will be manufacturing these devices. That's the reason I have put my research team, and research team is headed by Dr. Amit Saigal. That he is a 20 years of research and in uh, electronics as well as a research electronics and wireless communication. He has done the PhD in wireless communication. So yes, we are having a plan to go it inside so that we can have the manufacture because the product is a multi-purpose. We are having a different vision. Not only the agriculture, these products can be used in any industrial automation as well. We are going to cater the multi, but initially we are focused on a first. Let me focus on the agriculture and finish that because the backend. If you can talk about the, if I talk about the product, when I've designed a product, my product should be a generic. It can be used because the now we have to plug in into a devices. That devices can send the data, that temperature monitor. We can also monitor into the minings and coals and steel industries where it requires different extent. That we are also having it. But as of now, we are focus is the first complete the industry and we can have this built up.
So, right. My next question for you would be a bit more related to the technical points. So, as far as I could understand these IoT based sensors, there are two biggest technical challenges. One is to make sure that it can run on a battery for a long time because it's deployed in a remote field where you can't power it with any other source. And the second thing is actually the connectivity. So, most probably, as you told, you're using LoRa. So, how are you facing these two difficulties? One, how are you making sure the device can run on battery for a very long time? And the second thing is, how are you ensuring that the connectivity always stays there?
Yeah, so during the design phase, we already mentioned that these are the challenges which we are going to face because the system we have designed is really good for the remote locations as well. And when you talk about the remote location, there will be nobody who can help your system. Then in that case, our devices, the battery which we are high power battery, and these devices can be charged by using a solar power. Along from that, this controller that can also be use the solar devices. So by natural sunlight, we can charge the devices. So this is the one aspect. It can also be without solar panel. Also, you can utilize it by using a manual charger. And then you can plug it into the charging electricity socket, and that will be plugged in. So this is for the data collector. However, the controller is not having any power battery. You have to just simply plug in. There is a one socket connection, so that is equipped, and you can plug it into a battery or a solar power. So that is sufficient for them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the smart data collector is running off battery, right? So have you tested it?
Yeah.
How long could you run the data collector without charging it again?
So as of now, this data collect without the battery which we are using, it is able to run in 15 days before at, and 15 days they can run without charging it. We are working on the different aspects, and then yes, they can also we are that's the reason we have thought that let me plug in into the solar battery. So when solar battery, that battery, if solar panel is used, can charge the battery, so no need to charge. Even you can see the status of the data collector, what is the battery level status in your mobile application.
So moving on to the next question, these smart data collectors collect various kind of information, right? Like you're collecting soil moisture, pH value, temperature, humidity, light, and all those stuff. So what are you doing with this data? What kind of analytics is put on top of it? And how are you using artificial intelligence or machine learning here to your advantage?
Right. So once the data is there, the when we have a raw data, we are using a data algorithms, and different algorithms are there, which is actually trying to find out the trends. So let me have five talk want to know what is the time where then it will show me the entire day or month. Then it will a graph is telling that this is the time that the temperature is soil moisture is down. Then we will go and investigate. That is the part of our pattern, that what is the reason of having it, whether it's impacting the temperature was, what is the temperature of that, because temperature is, if the hot, then it will, yes, your soil will get dry. Or have you used anything which is impacted or dry? So that is the things we can get it out. And analytics will tell the different trendings, what are the different, how the pH is getting changed, if something pH is changing, what are the things we have. So that again, it is a continuous feeding, because the biggest part is when you talk about the automation, it basically works on a data. So as much as data we can feed into the system, that is, as of now we are not feeding any external data. In future also we will be telling them that if you are putting something inside the field, the fertilization, all that also has to be recorded. Then we'll give the complete ambience asset, then based on the data will, and even specific details of what kind of materials you have used inside, then the information will be accurate to analyze what is the things it is impacting. So those are the things that are very important.
Right. So Ashish, you just told that you finalized your prototype and is stepping into the manufacturing units. So what is your plan for your market? Like how are you planning from moving into this manufacturing segment, and how are you planning to take your products to the market, and what is Farming for All currently working on?
Yes, as part of our manufacturing, we have already finalized the different partners, so who are helping us in a manufacturing, because currently we are not having a manufacturing, we have a partners. And I would like to show you that this is the actual device, a controller, a complete, as for branding is still pending. We are working on that, but we have started testing these devices. So this is our controller. You can see it is an industrial based IP65 box, that is the waterproof and a dust proof box, a complete portable controller. So this is how our end product will look like. In the similar way, our data collector will be in process. We are going to receive it. So we started testing these products, actual products, into our ground, and then we are getting the feedback. So yes, and later on we have a plan to set up a manufacturing so that we can also manufacture on a larger scale based on our requirements.
Okay. So when you moved from this prototype stage to production stage, what are the major challenges you addressed? Like, how did you manage to find the right vendors? How did you manage to find, as you told, you outsource the manufacturing temporarily, right? Like, still, what are the
Yeah.
challenges that you faced in doing that?
It requires, because we are being a never being an electronics was first thing I am handling recently. So I've gone and had read about the electronics as well, and then found out about the best practices for manufacturing. Then tried to find out what kind of people can help. And as you know that when you fail, you there are many failures also in this. When we have designed a system initially, and as of now, I have changed my 3 vendors. The first design which we got it from the vendor, that was we got it after it took a one month for him to design it and all, when that we used to use, and we found so much of logistic issues, and even the device was not working. That is another issue what we faced it, and then we changed the vendor. Again, the issues changed, some other issues are. So finally, this is the third vendor which with me I got this device. So there's finding a right person, right resources, and there are different contracts and legal issues are there. But yes, we are come up over here, and now we have a proper vendor with us.
Yeah. So final question would be, how do you see the market for this in India? So how are you planning to take these products to the market? And how do you see the market for this in India? Is India ready for something like a smart IoT solution? What are your thoughts on it?
Yes, it is ready, and due to COVID, in the now automation scope has been increased. How? If I talk about the automation, automate the factories and all, right? Everywhere requires laborers, and now laborers are shifted to their places, and they are not coming back due to there are various reasons. They have faced a lot of things. Now industry has to move on, and now in the coming era is just coming up a skilled labor, and the heavy machines will be coming required because industry cannot bear the losses, that because industry is spending a lot of time and money to give a train to the any staff or labor or any expert staff. And now these staffs are not them to support. Some of them are back, but many of them are not being came back, especially for the labor categories, because they faced a lot of issues while doing a lockdown. We've seen they have traveled at a manually by walking to home. They are so based on many conditions are in labors are not coming back. So in automation will play a vital role, and people love to have. So now coming era is that it requires a skilled labor, as well as automation will play a very impactful. That's the reason we need to also move. If you wanted to, agriculture is also coming. Our population are getting increased, and soil agriculture farming land is getting decreased. How do we grow? We need to consume whatever we have. We have the balconies. We have a ready-made. We have the residential societies where the most of the balconies are not being used. We can go occasionally. So why not we are using a kitchen garden and setting up with the automation system and grow our own food, whatever we can do. Even one society can take up the whole infrastructure and can grow it. Together, one society can be able utilizing this resources, and they can able to earn money, or they can able to get organic food for themselves. That is up to them. We need to change the mindset. Yes, it will take time, but it is required. We need to educate the people as well.
So that's it, Ashish. I am done with all my questions. Is there anything that you would like to add on to this?
I would like to add on that any things which comes with a out, it requires a dedication effort. I would like to thanks to my all team members who have been working with me day and night past July 2019. They are working with me. They have put it. So I am really want to thank you all the team members. Even they were not well, they were doing to because of it is not only me. I am sitting in front of you because I am the face, but it is not only me who have developed this system. My entire team is dedicated their time and countless efforts. I would like to say thank you to all of them for being and believing on me and making this product. And then I'm hoping that this product will get a great success, and the credit goes to all my team members.
Thank you, Ashish. That's so nice. And on behalf of Circuit Digest, we wish you all the best for Farming for All and as well as for your team.